Blog Talk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I'm Armando F. Sanchez. I'll be your host here on our show, Latino Leaders, and we have a fabulous program today. And we're highlighting and interviewing Dr. Enrique Murillo, Jr., who is at the Cal State University San Bernardino. And every year, this will be their 8th year, they're doing an annual event, and they have a lot of events, a lot of great speakers, a lot of panels. It's called the Latino Education and Advocacy Days, or known as LEAD, L-E-A-D, number 8. So we're going to bring them in and learn about this fantastic program that's about to happen on March the 30th, 2017. Dr. Murillo, thank you for being on the program.
Hey, Armando, thank you once again. It's hard to believe, 8 years. We've been at this, and you've been there all 8 years, helping us to be part of this great team. You know, when this started, we were just going to launch the handbook of Latinos in Education because Latinos we had emerged as the largest minority in the United States. Since the new millennium, and then and before that, since 1998, Latino children were already the largest minority in the public schools. So all these things were happening, and about 10 years ago, when we started working on the handbook of Latinos in Education, we were like, okay, let's launch the book. We thought it was just going to be a one-time thing. But after that first year, and you were there that first year, Armando, we saw the hunger or the thirst taking place nationwide. And most people think, okay, California, Texas, there's a lot of raza, Latinos, Chicanos, and Mexicanos. But in all these other places around the United States, there's a whole population of folks that aren't being served. And so when we started webcasting, and that was your contribution, Armando, so I'm thankful because you're a pioneer in the webcasting world that put our eyes to the potential. And then once we started webcasting it, people were able to watch it. And believe it or not, after that first year, we said, "Oh no, we got to keep going." We opened up the Pandora's box, and there's so much unraveling to do that one conference, one summit is just not enough. We have to address this every year, and lo and behold, here we are 8 years later, kind of talking about the same things. Except for the first few years, a lot of it was talking about the problems, this and that. But then soon we said, man, we're kind of tired about talking the problems. We know the problems. We gotta start highlighting the solutions. What are the things that work? We gotta start getting out of our silos. We gotta start cooperating. Everybody contributes a little bit to the puzzle, and the network has just grown tremendously, and here we are, Lead Week 2017.
Well, we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to also focus on that, and thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. And just sort of quickly to sort of give more information, number one, I understand now that you're webcasting. For how many countries are you webcasting to? And number two, I understand that some countries are looking at what you're learning from working with Latinos, and sort of they're transposing it into their own communities with students that are also at risk, whether they be from other countries or refugees. So this has gone beyond the Latino community of the United States. So let me go back to that question. How many countries are now accessing your program, and do you see more people wanting more information?
Oh yeah, thank you. The last count from last year, the last couple of years, we reached 40 countries altogether. We from that first year, we started compiling a list of all the network people. It's funny because many of us who have worked in this field for decades, we tend to oftentimes work by ourselves. We're the one professor at that one university. We're the high school counselor at that one high school, and so we learned by necessity that we have to network with each other. And you know, and that's what if there's something we're good at, it's networking. You know, we get in there, we meet each other. So over the years, start building a network. We started creating these. We call them now chapters, like lead chapters. But really, what they are is they're viewing sites. Because of the power of technology and kind of time and space being compressed like that, you no longer need to be in the actual room where the event is taking place. You can watch it.
That's right.
Over the internet. And not only that, let's say you can't be there at a certain time. Well, the webcast is archived, so you can watch it, the next day or that evening. So after that first year, we started reaching out to folks. Okay, if you pledge to watch, even if it's for one or two panels or sessions of the day, we will list you on our list, our running list of who's watching. And just over the years, we've come up with at least 1,600. So we know of at least 1,600 town hall viewing sites. And because of the technology, we're able to track the CPUs. Where are people? What countries are people watching from? And so we've been able to count at least 40.
That's amazing. You know, we're getting you, sort of losing you in and out a little bit, so just a little bit technical issue here. So, it's just expanding, obviously, to compress and manage so many networks and contacts. I really applaud what you're doing. Now, before we get into specifically all the specifics of the upcoming LEAD conference, which is on March 30th, 2017, can we give out a website so our audience worldwide can access it and learn more about how to view the programming that you're going to do on that day?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, probably the easiest place to go is lead.csusb.edu. That's lead.csusb.edu. That's the general website. So that's the LEAD projects. And something to keep in mind that LEAD, Latino Education Advocacy Days, is something that we do year-round. So we have all sorts of projects going on. For example, we've done Castro College in years past. Right now we're working on a project with high school equivalency, helping farm workers get their GEDs. We got all sorts of things taking place throughout the year.
Let me stop you here for a second. If the speaker or something, we're losing you in and out. So I think if you're on a headset, if we can get that near you. Okay.
How's that?
Please.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have all sorts of, thank you for pointing that out. We have all sorts of activities that take place throughout the year. The LEAD Summit or the LEAD Week, that is, in a sense, the marquee event or the highlights. So this year, you can either go to the LEAD, lead.csusb.edu, or you can go to leadsummit.csusb.edu. So either one of those two sites, LEAD Summit. The LEAD Summit site will take you directly to, and you can see everything that's taking place the whole week, because the state of California in years past has declared, thanks to the handbook, the very same handbook that I referenced earlier, that handbook served as evidence that there is really a crisis, an educational crisis in our community. And that handbook was turned in, and it's on archives in Sacramento as the proof of more than 50 scholars in Latino education contributed to that piece, outlining, what we called the crisis, the Latino educational crisis, which is, for us, one of the civil rights issues, one of the greatest civil rights issues of our time. And unfortunately, Latinos fare the worst. And because of that, California declared, the Assembly first and then the Senate concurred that the last week of March is a week dedicated to advocacy for Latino education. So over the years, sometimes we have a whole week of events. Sometimes we just have the summit. So this year, we're happy to report that we have a whole week of events taking place. The first one takes place Saturday, March 25th, and that's the Binational Parent Leadership Institute. And that is a mechanism that was started here in the Inland Empire and Riverside, San Bernardino and Riverside counties, working together with the Mexican consulate in San Bernardino, together with the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And what we do is we're working with the parent leaders and helping the parent leaders move to even higher level of development and leadership. And anybody who knows is that if you got at least one good parent and at least one teacher, then that's what's going to help you get through the pipeline to get to the finish line. So we focus a lot on the role of parents. And then on Tuesday, and then a few days later on the Tuesday, we have the Catholic Schools Expo. And many people forget that the largest alternative to the public school system are the parish schools or the Catholic schools. And so we bring the Catholic school kids on our campus, and we offer them a roadmap to college, somewhat the same as what we do with the public schools, but then we want to make an effort to recognize the Catholic schools and the work they do, because research shows that Catholic schools are really doing a lot of extraordinary work, because their graduation rates are off the charts and their college acceptance rates are off the charts. So we're working with them. Then on Wednesday, we are helping host the Puente Student Leadership Forum. And Puente is a program here in California. It's more than 20 years old, and it's out of the Office of the President of the University of California system, mostly with the community colleges. And it's the same thing. It's one of those college preparatory programs that help create those roadmaps on how to get to the 4-year university. So then we're hosting that. And then Thursday is our LEAD Summit. That's the big one that we do every year. That's the one where we bring all the cameras and we webcast it across the internet and all the other media partners. And then we're going to end the week on Saturday, April 1st, with the Cesar Chavez breakfast. We're very thankful to the LULACs and the Chicano Latino Caucus of the Inland Empire and kind of our local folks here who have been doing this work for a long time, and the Chicano Latino Caucus of the Inland Empire, which now just changed its name to the Chicano Latino Caucus of San Bernardino County, they host annually a Cesar Chavez breakfast. And this year they approached us and they said, hey, well, let's do it as part of Lead Week, Latino Education Advocacy Days. So we have all these events taking place. It's a huge endeavor, and it's something that I don't do by myself. I'm the overall coordinator, but believe me, the heavy lifting takes place across many, many dozens of folks.
That is really wonderful. Two things that come to mind. Let me see if I wrote this correctly. I was writing the website here. It's lead.csusb, San Bernardino, .edu. Is that the website again?
That's correct. That's the main website
Okay.
for the LEAD projects. Or you can go to leadsummit.csusb.edu.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
The
so
LEAD Summit site is the one that's
leadsummit.
going to take you directly.
Okay. CSU San Bernardino, SB for San Bernardino.edu. Now, the other thing is, I remember hearing somebody says, wow, we're looking at this program as a template, and we want to model it in our backyard in Texas and in Chicago and some areas. So it's having an impact that other people can say, okay, how can we duplicate this kind of wonderful program? So, I understand that that's what's going on as well through all your work and the work of all the leaders that are participating.
Yeah, we've had many people approach us. A few years ago, the White House Office for Educational Excellence, they approached us, and using our model, the White House hosted a whole bunch of educational summits across the entire United States, and then they started webcasting, and they started doing all these things, and of course they give credit to our model, the one that we pioneered, and then we've had many, at least 6 or 7 other conferences or summits across the United States. Some even call themselves LEAD as well, and then they kind of do their own thing. But there's other universities and campuses who have a hybrid system. So what they do is they're watching us over the internet, and they pick and choose what they like to watch, what they want to watch from our program, the one taking place live at Cal State San Bernardino. But then they mix that with bringing their own local speakers and guests and do their own sessions and panels on their own campus. So it's a hybrid system, which really makes perfect sense because action has to be local. So we
Sure.
provide a larger platform, parameters. What are the trends in education? What are the reform movements taking place? We always spotlight the historical trends in schooling, and so we provide these kind of larger parameters, but ultimately it's up to local folks at the local level and on the state level to do the work that needs to take place in their backyard. So a lot of universities, that's what they do. So they'll watch a few panels taking place here on the webcast, and then they have their own people who come in person, and it's a great thing. And of course, we want the more from our perspective, we want them to do those things. We ultimately believe that democratic participation is what's needed, and it's not just Latino centric. We call this Latino Education and Advocacy Days, but by no means is it a separatist dialogue. that only pertains to just Latinos. We talk about Latinos because we are, in a sense, emblematic and symptomatic of the larger educational crisis that's been taking place across the whole United States and in a lot of ways across many countries. So going back to the question earlier, there are many countries, particularly Latin America, of course, that are looking at the United States. They're trying to find out what is the status of our minority condition. Yet, interestingly enough, we are the majority in many places. So we have this kind of very awkward minority-majority status, and there's many scholars who look towards us to understand the dynamics, the social and cultural and historical dynamics. But then there's also educators. There's people who participate in our LEAD Summit because they are, in a sense, shopping around for programs or approaches that they think might help for their particular situation.
Fantastic. Well, I understand that, the information is valuable and accessible worldwide thanks to webcasting and podcasting that you do out of the summit and all the other events. We're getting close to closing the show, but let me quickly highlight, I have some notes here that you are having 4 panels on the 30th of March, 2017, and you mentioned there will be webcasts at 9:50 a.m. Pacific Time, Historic Southern California Mexicano Latino Leadership Summit Response to Presidency Agenda. At 10:50 in the morning, the Majority Report Supporting the Educational Success of Latino Students in California. At 1:50, you have Resource Recovery and Recycling, U.S.-Mexico Relations Toward a More Sustainable Future, Jobs of the Future. I also understand that's what it's going to be about. And lastly, at 2:45, Salute to the Impact of Zoot, the play, the alumni reunion of actually the original cast of it. So it's really exciting. It's not only education, but it's also theater and other fields as well. So in closing the show, any closing statements to our listeners and we'll give out the website again so that people can access if they cannot make it on that day.
Yeah, thank you once again, Armando, for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit to this. Again, this is something that I don't do by myself. We have a whole team of folks. And really what LEAD is that we are a network. We are a network of folks who are committed to the educational issues that impact Latinos. And, of course, we're trying to uplift, and it's all about the betterment of our community and ultimately not just our community, but our communities, all the communities, plural, that we straddle. And, besides those panels that you described, we also have a few good speakers coming in. We have the new chancellor of the community college district in California, Eloy Oakley. He's going to be talking. We have the California treasurer, John Chiang, is also one of our speakers. We also have a couple of very strong capstone events taking place at the end of the day. We have Fabian Nunez, who used to serve as our Speaker of the Assembly. He is moderating a panel with a few of our key California leaders. We have Senator Connie Leyva and Assembly Member Eloise Reyes coming in. And then we have invited the current President Pro Tem, Kevin De Leon, to cap off the day with kind of ending. So we have those panels that you mentioned, and then in between we have these speakers talking. ultimately, the idea is that this is a summit. It's not a regular conference where we break off into workshops and so forth. It's a summit, which means all of us are in the same room and we're having the same conversation. And the way it's designed is that there's just one thread that takes place throughout the entire day. And that same thread takes place across the entire week. The theme this year is Sin Fronteras. Sin Fronteras, basically the idea of educating beyond borders. So our theme is about breaking down and transgressing those borders to create meaningful and reciprocal relations and bridges across all the communities that we serve. And I think ultimately, wherever you may stand on the side of history or the politics of the current and the new administration that we have, that there is something to learn here, because regardless of the administration who comes in or who's in power and so forth, is that Latinos, we've always been here. We're going to continue to be here. And so year after year, we have to always address what are the issues that are impacting our community, and because we're not going anywhere. And so we recognize that we are a community that's transnational, that we're binational and transnational and multinational, and so we exist across the borders.
Sure. I understand it's a major issue. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time here on our show. I wish we had more time. But one more time, as we're ready to close, could you give out the website, please?
Yes, sir. I would say that the easiest website to go to is leadsummit.csusb.edu. Lead Summit. L-E-A-D-S-U. L-E-A-D-S-U-M-M-I-T. Lead Summit. And that should get
Lead
you.
Summit.
You can also Google Summit 2017, and it'll be the first thing that pops up.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today, and we will continue to highlight the wonderful work that you're doing, and for you and the group and the college as well. And obviously, this is a system supported by the Cal State University system for the state. So thank you very much for being on our show. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions about the program, please feel free to contact them at California State University, San Bernardino, and as well, you can contact me at lsacnational@hotmail. We want to thank Dr. Enrique Murillo, Jr. for being on our program. Again, thank you for being on the program. Gentlemen, we will be with you in the near future. Success to your lead summit for this year. Thank you, Dr. Murillo.